In yesterday's class, we have looked on how to fit a model that represents differences between two groups or conditions. We have seen this Mann-Whitney U-test in case of related samples, and then we have seen Wilcoxon signed rank test in case of paired samples. But in both the case, our sample was divided into two groups or two categories. But what happens if there are more than two groups? So if we have a parametric data, means if we have a data on a metric scale following the normality, then we can go for one-way ANOVA. But if suppose if assumptions are not met, then what is the non-parametric equivalent of ANOVA? So the non-parametric equivalent of ANOVA is the Kruskal-Wallis test, represented by the symbol H. And this test is used when the groups or conditions contain independent scores. Now keep in mind, you have more than two groups, but again the groups are independent of each other. So basically it's the extension of Mann-Whitney test. Clear? Suppose if we have more than two groups which are related to each other, that is the case of if you want to extend this paired t-test, and the non-parametric of paired t-test is Wilcoxon signed rank test. If you want to extend that test, then the better test is the Friedman test, which we use when the scores are related. So if now from the very start assume that none of the assumptions are met, now if you have three or more independent groups, then you will go for Kruskal-Wallis test. And if you have three or more related groups, then you will go for Friedman test. So as of now, first let us look at Kruskal-Wallis test. Basically, this test assesses the hypothesis that the independent groups that you are having come from different populations. So if they are coming from different populations, of course they are unrelated. So that's why we use this test to look for differences between group of scores when those scores have come from different entities, and we want to counteract the presence of unusual cases. Means the unusual case would be when they have violated one of the assumptions, either of the normality or being the metric data or whatever. So for that purpose, we have taken a example of we have created three groups. If you look at the data set, and the assumption is that means my research question is that that comes from a lot of this research, which indicates that if a person eats more soya, then their blood cells count decreases. So we have categorized in our data set three group of people, each group of consisting of 80 people, males, means 20 in each group. Now four groups we have. One group is fed with no soya meal, the normal meal they are having. Another group is given one soya meal. Third group is given four soya meals, and the fourth group is given 7 soya meals. And then their blood cells number of blood cells were counted over a period of 1 year. So this is our data set, and the research question is, does eating soya affect the blood cells count? Now, if we are having 4 cases, and if you see, in all the cases, I have one soya meal, four no soya meal, one soya meal, four soya meals, seven soya meal, means the groups are means come from different population. One group is fed on normal diet without any soya meal. Then another group is fed on one soya meal. Third group is fed on four soya meals, and fourth group is fed on seven soya meals. So we have four different groups, and these groups are independent of each other. And the total sample size in each group is 20 each. So we have 80 participants. Now, the theory behind the Kruskal-Wallis test is that it is very similar to the Mann-Whitney. I already told you that it's an extension of Mann-Whitney test and also the Wilcoxon-Ransom test. So, like the Mann-Whitney test, the Kruskal-Wallis test is also based on ranked data. And ranked data, I have already told you that we just rank the scores as 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say if the score come out to be one soya meal is creating so much of a score, means the, let's say in our data, let's see. The blood cell count is 0.35 in millions, 0.35 millions. If a person is fed on one soya meal, 0.58 millions, 0.88 millions in case of respondent 3. So we score them as, we give them ranks, and you can see if you assign the ranks based on their scores, sometimes you are having 0.333. From increasing to decreasing, we are giving them the scores, or we are giving rank to the score. So you can see the ranks are also tied to each of the score in each of the case. So basically all these non-parametric tests works on rank data. So even this one, your Kruskal-Wallis test, also one works on rank data. So to begin with, we have ordered the scores from lowest to highest, and ignoring the group to which this group belongs. Irrespective of the groups, we have just taken their blood cells count and scored them from lowest to highest. So the minimum is blood cell count is given the score of 1, then the next higher is given the score of a rank of 2. So like that we have these ranks, and basically we work on these ranks only. So what happens basically, if we see the mathematical formula for calculating the Kruskal-Wallis test. So Kruskal-Wallis test is equal to 12 by, comes out to 12 by n plus 1, and then summation of r square by n minus 3. Why this minus 3? Because we have 4 groups, so degree of freedom comes to be minus 3, in bracket total number of observations plus 1. So in the entire formula, if you see, your R is the sum of rank of each group, the rank which we have given. We will submit all these ranks. N is the total sample size. The total sample size was 80, and then this is small n is the sample size of the particular group. So every group consists of 20 people. So for group 1 it will be 20, for group 2 also it will be 20. Similarly, we will be having it all for 20 groups. So if you calculate it manually, you can see that this is will be our result. H is equal to 12 by 80, means 80 we are having, then 80 plus 1, 81. Then R square, sum of rank, if you submit the rank, it will come out to be 927. Then it comes out to be 883 plus 883 plus 547. You take the square of all these, submit them, divided by 20, means sample size of the particular group. Each particular group is having 20. Then minus 3 into n plus 1, again 80 plus 1. So you'll get this value finally, 8.659. So we'll see by working through SPSS that actually what H score we are getting. This is actually, if you want to calculate it mathematically, then this is the formula. Else you can calculate it using SPSS. Let's see what value we are getting in SPSS. But before that, we need to do some follow-up analysis. So this Kruskal-Wallis test, this tells us that overall groups come from different populations, means 4 different populations fed on different meals. However, if you have 4 groups, like in our example, we had 4 groups. Again, the problem is the same. We don't know specifically which group differs. And in case of one-way ANOVA can only tell you that there is a significant difference between the group scores. But until and unless you perform a post hoc analysis, it won't be able to tell you that which group is different from which group. So the same problem we are going to face in, because this is the non-parametric equivalent of ANOVA. So even just by doing Kruskal-Wallis test, we can get to know that whether there is a significant difference between these 4 groups or not, but we can't know specifically that which group differ from which groups. So we'll be getting an overall result, and somewhere we need to tease apart these overall effects. So the simplest thing that we can do is to compare every pair of group individually, what we also known as pairwise comparisons. So if we see in our present analysis, if we do like that, it will give us 6 tests. And these 6 tests will be 1 meal versus 4 meal, because we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 meal, none of the meal consisting of soya. Another group 4 consisting of 4 soya meals. Third group we have like our groups are divided like, yes, first group no soya meals, then 1 soya meal, 4 soya meal, and 7 soya meal. So if you do the pairwise comparison, then we have to create 6. We have to do 6 pairwise tests separately. So that is 1 meal versus 4 meals, then none meals versus 7 meals, again 1 meal versus 4 meals, 1 meal versus 7 meal, and then 4 meal versus 7 meals. So it will become 6 different tests. And if we will do these 6 different tests, so what actually we are doing at the very basic level, we are performing Mann-Whitney test 6 times. If we are comparing each group consisting of 2 no soya meal to 1, then no soya meal to 4, then no soya meal to 7, then 1 soya meal to 4, then 4 soya meal to 7. Like this we are doing. So what it will do, these lot of tests that we will do will simply inflate the error rate. And ideally we want to keep only 5% chance of making the error. because our confidence interval is 95% and error rate is 5%. So we want to keep at the rate of the error rate as 5%, but if we do the same test over repeated number of times, it will inflate the error rate, and we want to avoid them. So therefore, one way of teasing apart the effect of these error rates is to compare every pair of groups. Of course, we have to do that, but to adjust the p-values so that overall across all of the tests, the error rate remains at 5%. So one alternative that you can use, rather than going for this pair-wise comparison, you can go for stepwise comparison or stepped procedure. And in this stepped procedure, if you closely look at this diagram, so these are theoretical things. Okay, you can choose whether you want to go for pair-wise or the stepwise in the SPSS software itself. But I want to tell you that if you go for the pairwise, why you should go for pairwise, and if pairwise is giving some error, why you should go for this step procedure. So the step procedure, if you see, the rank sums, if you so first you will compare the 7 meal with 1 meal and see whether there is a difference in that or not. So if there is no difference between the 7 meals and 1 meal, then you will compare the 7 meal is equal to 1 meal is equal to 4 meals, create first subgroup, move on to the step 2. Okay, so we have put the 2 examples actually. Now the group order that we are taking is 7 meals, 1 meals, 4 meals and no meals. In this figure, if you see, we have done that as a step down process, and how it works that first step is to see. We have taken the 2 examples, example 1 and 2. In the first example, you can see that the step 1 is to see whether the first ordered group is the same as the second. That is there a significant difference between the 7 meals and the 1 meal? So we can see that there is no significant difference. They are the same. Now we are putting in the third group, that is the 4 meals, and see if they all are the same. If they are, then you put in the fourth group and see if all 4 are the same, means the 0 meals also. And at this step, you will see that those 7 meals is equal to 1 meal, and that is equal to 4 meal, means first group, second group, third group, they are the same, but the fourth group, first, second and third group is the same, but third group is not equal to fourth group. Here you can stop. If at a point, if there is a significant difference, means the groups are not same, you can stop and carry the group that you included into the next step. Means this group 4 meals and 0 meals, you can now move on to the further calculation in the next step. So at every step you can repeat this process. If you see the same in example 2, what we have done. In example 2, we start with the first 2 groups in our ordered list, 7 meal and 1 meal. Now they are significantly different. So we add in no meals. Okay. They are significantly different. So we carry the first meal group into the second step and conclude that 7 meal is the group on its own, which is independent. In step 2, again you compare one meal with 4 meals, and you can see uh, this makes the group significantly. Uh, we compare the one more to 4 meals, and they are not significantly different. So we add to this group the 0 meals or the no meals, the third group. This makes the group statistically significant. So we carry the no meals into the third step and conclude that 4 meals and 1 meals are homogeneous groups. In step 3, we have only one group, so there's nothing left to compare it with, and we conclude that it is a group on its own. What happened that these follow procedures, see, it is quite complicated if you see, but later we'll discuss, while doing SPSS test. But the main take-home message from this entire situation is that if we have more than two groups to compare, we need to follow up the main analysis to find out exactly where the difference between the groups lie. So only a Kruskal Wallis test will tell you that how much the groups, is there any significant difference among these four groups or not. But the follow-up analysis will tell you, just like the post-hoc analysis, that how these groups are different from each other. So you can do it by this method, or by means adding the next group, comparing the two groups, then adding the next group until you reach to a situation where you find that one of the group becomes dependent on its own. Now let's move on to the doing the Kruskal Wallis test. So first, let me check the assumptions. Are you people aware of how to check the assumptions, or do I need repeat it or move on to the Kruskal Wallis directly? Should I check the assumptions? Yesterday we have checked on the assumptions. Should we again check the assumptions or move on directly to the Kruskal Wallis?
Anybody can respond.
Should we perform the test of normality and homogeneity or move on?
Sir, though we know it, but it's better to always revise.
Okay. So let's do the test of normality and the homogeneity also. So now you go to descriptive statistics, explore, and here you take blood cells count. Your factor list is number of soya meals. Go to plots, normality plots with test. Continue. Okay. So what does this table tells you?
Significant, so it says that
Data is not normal, it's skewed.
yes.
And if you see this normal TP plots, again if you see, in this case, across the diagonal line, the data sets are not distributed. You have a few significant outliers also. Then in the second case, it's somewhat normally distributed. But overall, if you see that even this statistics tell you, normal QQ plot also tells you that your data set is not normally distributed. So sometimes it may happen that this column group Smith not test may give different results, but since your sample size is very small, 20 in each group, you can go for Shapiro-Wilk test. Shapiro-Wilk test tells you that the assumption of normality is not met. Since we have four different groups independent of each other, so it's also better to test for the homogeneity of the variances also. So go to analyze, go to compare means one way ANOVA, take the dependent list, soya mills, number of soya mills into factor list, options, homogeneity of variance, continue. So rank order we have nothing to do with. Basically, we'll see the blood cells count. What it tells you, there is no homogeneity among the variances, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So both the assumptions are not met. So rather than going for one-way ANOVA, we'll go for its non-parametric test, that is Kruskal-Wallis test. So for doing Kruskal-Wallis test, again the same steps, non-parametric test, take the independent samples. Here click customize analysis. In the fields, blood cells count have been already there. If use predefined roles, means if SPSS is taking by itself. So what we'll do, I want you people to, rather than relying on the software, do it by yourself. So it's better we take this blood cells count in millions and this number of soya mills into the groups. Now next, select settings. In the settings, choose test. You have to choose, select customize test, and you have to choose Kruskal-Wallis one-way ANOVA K samples. Now you are getting the options that we have already discussed. That if you choose none, it won't tell you that how much difference is between the groups. So you have either the pairwise or step down method. So we'll see one by one. Let's see, we are using the pairwise method. So you can select this pairwise, then alternatively you can test for this John Khare Telstra test for K samples. Why we use for this John Khare Telstra test? Because it is a test of the trend, and it is useful if you want to see whether the medians of the group increase or decrease in a linear way or not. So first let's do without choosing this, then we'll do along with this also to see the trend. Now select run. So what value we are getting? See, a null hypothesis is formulated. The distribution of blood cells count is the same across categories of number of soya meals per week. So null hypothesis is states that there is no significant difference in the blood cells count irrespective of how many soya meals the person is fed for per week. But if you see the significance value, it will tell you that the value comes out to be 0.034, means less than alpha. Reject the null hypothesis. Rejecting the null hypothesis says that the distribution of blood cells count is different across categories of number of soya meals per week. Now, we need to have some follow-up analysis of that. So, one way to know that, see, this is the summary table. It will tell you only the difference exists or not. Now, if you double click the summary table, it will give you the model viewer window, which will tell you the detailed output. If you see this detailed output, it will give you the degree of freedom. Already at this 4 minus 1, 3, we have 4 groups. The significance value. Now the test statistic means value of H Kruskal values. Here it comes out to be 8.659. Let's compare when we have done it manually. It's the same value. Here also we had the same. So just a cross validation. If you do it manually or we do it through SPSS, we are going to get the same result. Now this overall result only tells us that the blood cells count were different in some of the groups, but we don't know specifically which group differed. So one way to look at that which group differed is to look at this box plot. Now if you see this box plot, you will find there are some outliers. If you see these out of these values, there were some outliers, because if you see these circles and this asterisk, they are they lie above the top whiskers. The top whisker, this is the top whisker and this is the lower whisker. So you'll find that there are some outliers. So these outliers are nothing but these were our samples who produced a particularly rampant quantity of blood cells. Their blood cells count were rampant or they were out of the normal blood cell count. However, if you see the if you see the median of the group which ate 7 soya meals, it is quite lower. So perhaps this is where the difference lies. If you compare all these three, means graphically if you see, so you will see that the people who eat 7 soya meals per week, their blood cell counts were significantly lower. However, this conclusion is very subjective. So to have an accurate view, we need to do some follow-up analysis. So there are 2 ways to follow up the Kruskal-Wallis test in SPSS. Either the step-wise down, either the pair-wise or the step-wise down method. So let's see how we can do this. So let's look at the pair-wise comparison first. So if you select This one, it will tell you the pair-wise comparison, but since we have not performed, so first we have to perform, select that test. So again, go to analyze, non-parametric test, independent samples, everything is there. Okay, sorry, here we have taken already. John Kerridge test we haven't taken. So now go to the viewer box, select the pair-wise comparisons. Can anybody interpret this pair-wise comparisons? Which group is significant from which group? See this table and tell me whether there is a significant difference among the groups or not.
There's significant difference between 7 and the 1 group, 7 and the 4 group, 7 and no soya group.
So soya 7 and the 1 group, there is a significant difference. Please see the significance table. See, all possible comparisons have been made here. If you see 7 versus 1 soya meal, then 7 versus 4, then 7 versus no meal, then 1 versus 4 soya meals. I told you there will be 6 comparisons, or maximum number of possible comparisons could be there. Then 1 soya meal with no soya meal, then 4 versus no soya meals. So in each case, if you see the statistic, it is the difference between the mean ranks of those groups. That here comes the means role of the mean group. So if you see, for the first group, it comes out to be 16.80. For the second group, it comes out to be again 16.80. For the third group, it comes out to be 19. For this group, it comes out to be no difference, 0. For this group, if you see, it comes out to be 2.2 and so on. Okay. So what you can conclude from here, if you see, and even the p values are the same, if you see among the groups. So what you can conclude? See, it's very simple to conclude. 7 meals to 1 soya meal has no difference to with 7 meal to 4 soya meals. Means there exists no significant difference if the person is fed on 7 soya meals or 1 soya meal per week or 4 soya meals per week. However, if the person is compared with 7 soya meals per week with no soya meals per week, then only there exists a difference. Else, in all other cases, there exists no significant difference among the groups, isn't it?
But sir, 7 with 1 and 7 with 4, though they are similar values, but there is a significant difference if we compare.
Sorry?
Sir, in the sample, 7 soya meal per week 1 and per week 4, though the significant difference value is same, but it is less than 0.05.
How it's this one?
Yes, sir.
7:1 and 7:4?
Yes, sir.
See, now you are comparing this one with this one. Now, there is a significant difference between 7:1. You are trying to say. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But if you, okay, let's put, for example, there is a difference between 7 soya meal and 1 soya meal per week. If we compare this is one group. Okay. If we compare 7 soya meals with 4 soya meals per week, again the values comes to be same.
Yes,
So
sir.
there could be a significant difference between 7 soya meals per week. Okay. If
Yes.
a person is fed on 7 soya meals and 1 soya meal, there will exist a significant difference. Then again, uh, if you see second case, that even this, so if you compare 7 soya meals per week with 4 soya meals, again the same value you are getting if you to see the test statistic. So there will be difference between the 7 soya meals and 1 soya meal per week. However, adding 4 soya meals per week will not differ significantly from this group. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in all the cases, you can say there won't exist any significant difference among these groups. I'm talking about these comparisons right now. Okay. So if you see the comparisons group, then there won't exist any significant difference among these groups except this group. This group you see is different from the rest of the three groups. But when it comes to individual comparison of 7 soya meal, 4 soya meal, 1 soya meal, no soya meal, then you can say using this that if the person is either fed on no soya meal or if it is fed on 1 soya meal as compared to 7 soya meal, there will exist a significant difference. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So means this clearly tells you that lower the soya meals, higher is the blood count. Or if the moment you are increasing the number of soya meals, the blood count will decrease. If you put person on 4 soya meal, so if you do not give them soya meal or if you give them only 1 soya meal per week, then only you can see a significant difference as compared to other groups. Isn't it? I think there is a kind of confusion. If you see this paired wide comparison, if you compare two groups, means now we are comparing the number of groups. So there was first group where a person was fed on where there was one group where people were given 7 soya meals and then 1 soya meal per week was the second group. We compared them, we found that if the person is fed on 7 soya meals and the other group fed on 1 soya meal, there will be a significant difference. If a person is fed on 7 soya meals and a person is fed on 4 soya meals, there will be a significant difference. However, if we want to see the difference between these two groups based on the test statistic being the same, the difference will also be the same. Means whether the person is fed on 1 soya meal and 7 soya meal, and again if the person is fed on another group will take the 4 soya meal. If we compare these two groups, then there won't be any significant difference because among these two groups there could be significant difference between 7 soya meals per week and 4 soya meals per week. But if we take these two groups and compare with these two, then there won't be any significant difference because the test statistic remain the same. So what overall we can conclude from this, that the blood counts were significantly affected by eating soya meals at H at the degree of freedom 3 comes out to be 8.66, that we have already seen from our table. P is 0.034. Now after doing paired comparison with the adjusted p values, you can see there was no significant difference between blood cells count when people eat 7 soya meals per week compared to 4 per week. If people eat one meal or no meals, there was also no significant difference in blood cells count between those eating 4 soya meals per week and those eating one meal and no meals. So finally, you can say there was no significant difference in blood cells count between those eating one soya meal per week and those eating none. So only you can see the significant difference between 7 soya meals and 1 soya meals or no soya meals. There won't exist any significant difference between either the people is fed on no soya or one meal of soya in a week.
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
I will share with you all these recordings, and you can again look at. See, this is somewhat confusing, but you can again look at these values, and then you can calculate that okay, which group is different. If you do a paired-wise comparison, you'll see that there is no means whatever the soya meal they eat, there won't exist any significant difference. Only you can see a significant difference if the person is fed on no soya or minimum one soya meal per week. However, if you compare one soya meal per week with no soya meal per week, then also there won't be any significant difference. So only significant difference will exist between if the person is fed on one soya meal per week or no soya meal per week as compared to 4 and 7. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Even you can see from this value also, no, this group is having no significant difference. This group is having no significant difference. Only significant difference is coming in this group. So you can do like this. Let's see if we do the same test by stepwise method, then what happens? What results are we getting? Statistic will be the same, it won't change. Now you will select this homogeneous subsets. Now again you can see from this table now try to find there we were having different groups. Now we are having only two subsets, having two clusters. Now can you compare this and tell me is there any significant difference coming out of this?
One is something.
Anybody?
Only 0 and 7 is showing.
See, if you see 7 soya meals per week is into one cluster, isn't it? And one soya meal, 4 soya meal, and no soya meal is into the another cluster.
Another cluster.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now you'll see that 1, 4, and no soya meals which are in the same cluster, if you see their significance value comes out to be 0.943, which means these three do not differ significantly from each
Yes,
other.
sir. Yes, sir.
Only 7 soya meals per week seem to lower the blood cells count. And as if you could recall that what was the objective of our study, our objective of the study was based on a theory which stated that more the soya meal a person eats, lower is his blood cell count. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So if you could see that their median value comes out to be 44.150. In case of 4 soya mills, it's 44.150. No soya mills is 46.350. They are one cluster. Means if you do it stepwise down method, then another cluster, and this one belongs to another cluster. And you can see that there is a significant difference. Means these three, since their values comes out to be 0.943, they are not different with each other. Either the person is fed on no soya meal or no soya meal or no soya meal, this would hardly make any difference on its blood cell count. But the moment he's fed on 7 soya meal per week, their blood cell count will decrease significantly. If you compare these values, there is a much change. It's a very lower value than these. So we can see even in the first case that we have taken by the pair-wise method, also we have seen only 7 soya meals per week make any difference on the blood cell count, and that difference comes out to be that the person's blood cell count lowers as he is fed on more soya meals per week, and that difference is very clear when it comes to 7 soya meals per week. Clear?
Sir, but then if you say that which is the best method then?
Huh?
Sir, if you have to compare between the two methods, though there is no comparison, but if you have to compare that which is the best method we should go forward, either paired or stepwise.
No, that I have told in very start that you should go for stepwise method, because what happens if you go for pair-wise method, it will create many combination of test. Okay.
True, sir.
And if you are doing the same test over the same data set repeatedly, chances of increasing your error margin from 5% more. You want to keep the error margin at 5%, that error margin will increase. Means that will not give such a much accurate result as compared to this stepwise down method.
Yes, sir.
So you should go for, see, here it has done the same test, means it has broken down the test into two groups, means it has done your Mann-Whitney test basically over 6 by making 6 combination. Now if you are repeating the same test over the same data set again and again, the chances of your error rate, increasing of your error rate is high. That's why it's always better to go for step down method in such cases rather than going for pairwise. Why I have done both? Because I wanted to show you that in both the cases results will remain the same. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But the best method to go for is this stepwise down method. Somebody's mic is unmuted. Please mute it. Then you can, for trend analysis, you can do again this John Keret extra test. If you wish, you can. And then select smallest to largest, and see, basically this statistic, this test is for the ordered pattern of the medians of the group that you are comparing. It does the exactly the same thing as Kruskal-Wallis test. That means it tests for the difference between the medians of the group, but it incorporates information about whether the order of the group is meaningful or not. So you do a trend analysis either from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. If you are selecting the smallest to largest, so it will tell you which test whether the first group differs from the second group, which in turn differs from the third group, and which in turn differs from the fourth, and so on until the last group. If you are selecting the largest to smallest, then it will do the same thing in reverse order, which test differs, which test whether the last group differs from the group before, which in turn differs from the group before, and so on. Means smallest to largest will check the first group with second, then moving on to third one, then third to fourth, and so on. And if you choose the largest to smallest, it will do the same stepwise method, but the reverse order. Here it is doing in chronological order, there it will do in reverse chronological order. So here you can choose whether you want to go for pairwise or stepwise down. Again, you have the same option. So let's say we want to do the stepwise down method. Run the test. What it is giving you? 0.013. It again says there exists a significant difference. Now check it. Select this one. It will tell you the test statistic coming out to be 912, and it will also give you this Z value, and you can calculate the effect size by yesterday I told you taking the sorry.
So Z divided by under root of n.
By the under root of n. So if you divide 2.476 by this under root 80, what it comes out to be? It will come out to be 0.28. And what is 0.28? Yesterday I told you it's the effect size. 0.3 to 0.5, less than 0.3 is
Weak.
0.3 to 0.5 is
Moderate.
medium to strong effect, and above 0.5 is very strong effect. Now what it will tell you that eating of soya have blood, it decreases the blood count. If you see S3 8.66 we already had seen, P is equal to 0.034. But if you see using the John-Kerry test, it will tell you a significant trend in the data. As more the soya was eaten, the median blood cell counts decreased, but that decrease was weak. It is not the case that if you eat more of the soya, very much of your blood cells count will decrease. So means eating 7 soya meals per week will decrease your blood count, but if you calculate the effect size, that decrease won't be means very strong, right?
Yes, sir.
So it will be somewhere 0.28 only. So you can write that yes, 1 meal, no meal, and 4 meals doesn't have any significant effect on blood cell count as compared to the 7 meals. If the person is fed on 7 meals of soya per week, then only you can see a significant effect, and that significant effect is in terms of decrease in the blood cell count. But that decrease in the blood cell count, if you check further through John-Kerry's test, it will show you that that decrease is not very high. There is a significant decrease, but not very high. Okay. So this is actually the test means including these two tests, you can calculate the overall the effect and the size of the effect. So whenever you are doing, you also should check this effect size also, that how much effect is coming to be, whether it's a weak effect or a strong effect or a very high effect, right? Now this was the case when we have done the test of differences among the groups when these groups were unrelated to each other. What if the groups are related to each other? We have more than three groups and they are related to each other. Means we want to extend the paired test to its the non-parametric equivalent of the pair test is Wilcoxon signed rank test, but it only works on if we have two groups. What if we have more than two related groups? In previous example we have seen three or more unrelated groups. Here we want to see three or more related groups, what is their effect. So that is done through Friedman's ANOVA. Let's take the another example in this, and the theory behind them is the same. All work on the rank data, similar thing what we have discussed, only the method change, the statistic changes. So this was diet. Diet.sa. So we have three situations. We have taken weight of the people at three time intervals. One was when they started dieting, their weights. Second situation was 1 month after dieting, and third situation was 2 months after dieting. Now we want to see that whether dieting has any effect on the weight over a period of time. Here you can see it's a pre and post kind of situation, but now the post situation is again the pre and post situation. All, if you see, are having three categories. Your variable is into three categories. Independent variable is divided into three categories. Each category is having a sample size of 10. These are related samples. So if you could recall, this is a case of, if you take only these two, this is the case of pair t-test. If you take these three, this is the case of this is the case of, if you take all these three, this is the case of repeated measures ANOVA. But since we cannot apply those parametric tests, so we have to go for its non-parametric equivalent, and the non-parametric equivalent in this case is Friedman's ANOVA. So let's see how to do it. Go to analyze non-parametric test. Now they are related samples. Customize your analysis. Go to fields. You have to take all these three. And then in settings, you have to take Friedman's two-way ANOVA by ranks and select all pairwise and run the analysis. So what you are seeing here, the distributions of weight at the start, weight after 1 month, and weight after 2 months are the same. So this says that there is no significant difference of dieting, or no significant of dieting on the weight over a period of when the person started the dieting, when when the weight was taken after 1 month of dieting and when the weight was taken after 2 months dieting. And this value 0.905 says that is retained the null hypothesis. Means there exists no significant difference. Means dieting has nothing to, will not have an effect on a 1 month or 2 month period. So let's see a more detailed analysis. Means take it into model viewer. What you are seeing? Mean rank, does it changes? Is there any significant effect difference in the mean ranks of the weights?
Almost it's 1.92, 2.1.
2.10. There is no significant difference.
Yes, sir.
Means if the person started dieting, then also the mean rank of the weight was 1.90. After 1 month, it came 2.0. After uh, 2 months, it came 2.10. So there is no more difference. The same you can see it from the statistic also. You can see that Friedman and ANOVA statistic come out to be 0.200, and this does not at the level of 0.905. It does not stand statistically significant. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now take the this stepwise. This is the all pairwise method. Now let's take the stepwise method and see. Stepwise through stepwise down method. Again, if you see this diagram, again it's not giving you any significant result. Wait at start, wait after 1 month, you won't see any difference. If you compare these graphs, wait at the start, wait after 1 month, again the graphs will almost remain the same. Wait after 2 months, there is no more difference between the mean values and these in any of the case. If you see the mean values, you won't find any much significant difference. Now, to calculate the effect size, again you have to, in this case, you have to do Wilcoxon signed rank test in 3 different stages. So test 1 will be weight at the start of the diet compared to at 1 month, then weight at the start of the diet compared to 2 months, weight at 1 month compared to 2 months. If you want to calculate the effect size, this will overall tell you that diet has no significant effect on the weight over a period of means 1 month or 2 months. Means you can see that at the when a person starts dieting within the period of 1 month or 2 months, you cannot see a very significant change on their this weights. And the statistic that you report is x square, that is Friedman and ANOVA, at the degree of freedom 2 is equal to point 0.0 0.20. That came out of our, if you can see from our results, so degree of freedom 2, value of x square comes out to be 0.20, and p is 0.90, or you can put it 0.91. So you can say there exists no significant difference. If you want to test this effect, calculate the effect size, then again you have to calculate the Z value, and that has to be calculated by performing Wilcoxon signed rank test 3 times, because there is no direct method in that. Related samples, and here you can select Wilcoxon test, and in the fields you have to check weight at start and compare to weight at 1 month. Run. What is the Z statistic you are getting here? 0.051, isn't it? So simply you divide this 0.051 with 20. Okay, because now you have 10 participants from group 1 and 10 participants from, means at the start of the diet and compared to 1 month. So total sample size is 20. So this will come out to be 0.01. I don't know whether, okay, it's not there. It will come out to be 0.01. Now second case again, so 0.01 will tell you what? There is no much effect size, means already it was there that this diet does not have any significant effect on the weight. If you want to see the effect size, then it comes out to be 0.01 by dividing this by under root 20, and again it comes out to be 0.01, which is means very less, because we told that if any value is less than 0.3, the effect size is not significant, and 0.01 is very less value. So similarly you can calculate the Z score for this also. Now weight at the start and compare to weight after 2 months. Again run, and now your Z score is 0.255. If you divide it by under root 20, you will get it 0.06, which is again very less. And then in third step, you can calculate again the Z value by comparing weight at 1 month and 2 months. Here, just remember I am running Wilcoxon signed rank test to get the Z scores. So here I am getting the Z score of 0.153. If I divide it by under root 20, again I will get 0.03. So in all the 3 cases, I can say that whether the person started dieting, even after 1 month, there was no significant effect, and if they the size of the effect size was very less, that comes out to be 0.01, very weak. Then in after 1 month, it comes out to be 0.06, which is again very weak, and after 2 months again it comes out to be 0.03, which is again very weak. So to summate the entire result, we can say that the x square, the degree of freedom 2 comes out to be 0.20, which is not significant at 0.91 level. So we retain the null hypothesis and can say that diet does not have any significant effect on the weight, but this could not be generalized because diet do have some effect on the weight. Most of the studies have suggested, but since we are taking only 2 months, so we are saying that at such a small period of time it cannot have any significant effect. So to further check this, that whether if is this due to only this small period of time, you can go for calculating the effect size. So calculate the z value divided by your total, this under root of the total sample size, and you will get the effect size. You can say that only these are very weak effects and this is coming only due to very small duration of dieting, that is 1 month and 2 months. Within 1 or 2 months, diet cannot have any significant effect on the weight of the people. Clear? So what I could understand from the entire interaction, that this non-parametric test has become quite confusing to everybody, isn't it? No responses, nothing. People were very interested in detailed correlation regressions. Am I right? Because no responses.
Yes, sir.
No responses. Why this is happening? I could understand why this is happening, because most of the time we ignore these non-parametric tests. Believe me, if you are using these non-parametric tests with proper justification, then they are going to add value to your manuscript. We always look for manipulations, that how we can manipulate and get some parametric test done. We do not focus on these non-parametric tests, so most of the time these comes us to as a new test, and that's why it's creating a confusion. Else there is no more confusion. But as for your practice, I have shared with you the data set, and also I'll share with you the recordings, and then you will better understand after practicing that non-parametric test stands equally important as parametric ones. So today now we have come to the end of our modules. Only thing is remaining, that how to report the test statistics, how to write them in a proper APA style. So that I'll cover in the next week, that is on 19th. And since I have promised that logistic regression I will also cover, so I'll of course the next week only I'll schedule and cover the logistic regression also for the people whom I have promised that I'll cover the logistic regression, so I'll cover that. Till then, you can practice these non-parametric tests in this week, and how to write or report your results. In some of the tests I have told, but yes, I will tell in a proper manner one by one in the forthcoming Saturday as per our schedule. And then in the next week only, we will be concluding with this logistic regression also. So see you all in the next week. Stay healthy, stay safe. Goodbye.
So when will we do the logistic regression? Just missed out.
I'll inform everybody, but only those who are registered for that module 2.
So is that a yes? I have registered for all the modules. I mean, is it a separate registration for?
No. Miss, in module 2 we have left out logistic regression, so I'll be covering
Yes,
as a
that
part of
one.
module 2 itself.
And so
Because
for
because if
I
I
didn't
cover, yes,
So-
please continue.
so I didn't get these videos for that the classes we had on Tuesday and Friday.